Because that's really what it's about. Like the connection that takes place during sex. Of course, the desire, but really the connection. And I don't want to miss opportunities to connect.
Hey, what's the saying? What's the saying we came up with? Don't wait, clap cheeks today or something like. What's it?
Oh yeah.
Don't put
tomorrow isn't promised. Clap cheeks today.
Yes. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast. This is episode 88, and we are once again joined by us. It is I. It is I, Brandon, joined by the amazing Ciandra.
Hey y'all, babe, 88.
That's not the right song. What did I say?
No, 88 is your birthday. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, around double eights.
Mm-hmm. Magic 8 ball.
Hey.
8 ball MJG.
So, thank you once again for joining us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? So we can push this episode out to more people, help the algorithm. However, that works. I'm still learning that part. So, another week down. We're bringing y'all another hot and fresh serving. And we're going to get right into it. Because today I have the power.
I know. I saw you looking at me like
I did. Yeah, I looked at her because
Mister.
You usually the one who got the power, but today we switched it up because you know what I'm saying. Y'all probably, a couple of y'all may know we didn't have some technical difficulties with this camera, so we switching it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? See what's going on. All right. Now
for women,
allow me.
Advice for women that want sex much more than men.
Well, that's the story of our marriage.
Oh my gosh.
That's why we wrote the book Sexperiment. It was Lisa's idea. I love it. I've been fighting her off for 40 years. I mean,
I understand the struggle. I need prayer.
And just the whole thing about the woman feeling more sexual as I get older. I've been the one that's desiring sex more.
I feel attacked.
So, we have come up with a rule, and I just want to help y'all out. 48 hours. If you decline, you got 48 hours to initiate.
Okay,
it's working. Because I got tired of being
24.
declined.
Yeah, I've written about the 24-hour rule.
24.
Now, wait a minute. We need to vote on that.
What book did you read? What book
I think 24 hours. Amen. God bless you. Hands are going up everywhere, even in the balcony. I see those hands.
I think
24 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just reiterating that.
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me as I gain control of the power. It's so strong in my hand. I don't know what to do.
You press start and you press stop.
We do. So we stumbled across this video and we thought it would be an amusing and interesting topic to bring up, to you, our people, the fam.
I think that's a great rule to help balance, to help balance sexual desire in a relationship, because then it puts the onus on the other person who maybe didn't desire in the moment to find desire and find something to use to help them be able to initiate. So I think a big part of why we run into sex ruts in relationship is because one person is desiring it more than the other person, and the person who's desiring it can only be rejected but so many times before they're like, okay, I'm just not
I'm off it.
Yeah, like I'm not even gonna try. It's not gonna be worth it for me to be able to try. And so having this shared responsibility around sex, and also you got 48 hours, do it how you want it. Like, if there is a time of day that works best for you, and maybe I'm asking you at the wrong time of day, so that doesn't work, or maybe I'm asking you at a time where you're stressed and you already have things going on and that's why you're declining. It gives you enough time to be able to work through whatever that stressor is and hopefully be able to come back and be present in order for us to be able to connect in that way. Because that's really what it's about, the connection that takes place during sex. Of course, the desire, but really the connection. And I don't want to miss opportunities to connect.
Hey, what's the saying? what's the saying we came up with? The don't wait, clap cheeks today or something like. What's it?
Oh yeah.
Don't put
Tomorrow isn't promised. Clap cheeks today.
Yes, I put that on a t-shirt or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and I like the rule or the rule that they came up with. I guess whether you decide to go 24 hours or you decide to go 48 or 72. I don't know. Just as long as there is some sort of understanding that, like, hey, you can try to initiate sex whenever you feel like you need some, and then the other part, your partner has the option to be like, hey, let's get it, or no. But just know that if there is a no, you're on a time limit.
Mm-hmm. You're fighting against the clock.
Yeah, it's like you're playing the speed chess with the clock. Like, I hit it, the clock is ticking. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm definitely not mad at that at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good, like I said before, I think it's a good rule, and it'll help people especially avoid ruts or a rut that was caused by a mismatch in desire, you know? I mean, because I think that happens more than we would like to think, or maybe that we acknowledge. I think that the common pop culture idea is that men always want to have sex and women want to have sex less than men, or don't want to have sex at all, even if they're in a relationship with a man that they love and care for. And so the idea here is that, like, men have to go without, they have to self-sacrifice, or they have to, be willing to
take less.
Yeah, take less than what they need in a relationship, even if they're getting other things that maybe they need in a relationship. And I think a lot of people, well, let me not say a lot of people. I think the media that you consume that is more men speaking, a lot of those men are suggesting that to avoid that problem, that one, you should have sex with someone before you end up in a relationship with them, but two, that you should have a conversation and be very clear about, like, what your sexual needs are in order to avoid a situation in which you're mismatched, and, like, what you need is not going to be possible for that person to fulfill.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I definitely hear that. And that is the general, I guess I would say, consensus amongst men, and perhaps even just in general, like the belief that men in general are generally higher desire, which, well, I guess I would, even though I don't have any stats to back this up, like, I feel like I could probably say that in general, probably men are probably have higher desire than women for sex. Now, that being said, there do exist a good, like, amount of women who have very high desires, and men, and perhaps even higher desires than men. They exist. They out there, and their numbers are not small. So I definitely give you that one. And, biology lesson, as women get older, that desire generally, like, kind of increases. They go through, they hit their sexual peak, of desire, like, in their 30s and stuff like that. So from what I understand, from what I've come to understand from all the courses I've taken and things of that nature, and generally, men kind of go down a little bit after their 20s. So there's that mismatch that you got to be aware of. Now, you were saying that some of the male content that I consume and stuff like that indicate, or they say that men should have sex with women, or you should have sex and have conversations and about your expectations regarding sex, like, earlier on, just to make sure that you guys aren't mismatched. I agree with that as well, but then I wonder I've also heard talk of sex isn't as important, like the mismatch part isn't as important, like, later on. Like, yeah, it's important now for you because, like, you want it, but that's not always going to be the case for you. So, like, what's going to happen when maybe you guys are aligned, sexually, and y'all getting it in, and then, like, time happens, and that desire wanes, and you find yourself not want, either for whatever reason, whether it be medical or just you just getting older, that you no longer need or no longer want sex as much, or the woman goes through the postpartums and having kids, and the desire just naturally goes down. So I'm heard, so I've been told, and just through life and stuff, there's like a wax and wane of the sexual stuff. Like, so what do you do when that happens. Like, yeah, we can both agree on day one, and and 1 year in, 2 years in, and when we freshly married and all that stuff. But what happens 10 years down, 5 years down, 10 years down, 15, 20?
I think that's where this rule comes in, right? Like, I don't know that you necessarily need this rule early on, because more often than not, early on, your desire is going to be matched or closer to being matched.
Right.
But 10 years down the line, where it really is like, I have these other things on my mind. Sex was not a part of my agenda for today. Cool, you want to have sex? I will now bump that up to the top of my priority list. And now I have 24 hours to be able to figure out like how, when, what is it going to take for me to be in the mood, or, have less stress or have less things on my mind to be able to show up and participate in connecting with you. So I feel like that's when this rule makes the most sense. You probably don't need this rule early on, but once you get into a routine, you have additional responsibilities, age, time, things like that. Like, I think it's the same thing with the rule of like couples who have sex on specific days of the week, like
scheduling. And
like, I think that it's the same thing. It's like, we have to be intentional about making sure that we connect with each other, because it's not as easy as it was earlier in our relationship when we had more bandwidth. Now our bandwidth has
more stuff. Yeah, we got
we have more stuff on our plate. Our plate is significantly fuller, and this what we have is the plate. Like, we can't let the plate go, or else all other shit on top of it is going to fall to the floor, and nobody wants to eat shit off the floor. So we still have to make sure that the plate is together and that we're good to go. But that means that we're going to have to be intentional about it, because it's going to look like all of these other things are priorities, and all of these other things it'll seem easier to give our attention to those things than it will to...
It's more pressing. It's more immediate. It's like, I got to be on top of these things, because if I'm not on top of these things right now, it's going to fall apart. Versus like the sex stuff, like, yeah, I know it's important, I can acknowledge it, but like, we're not going to die if we don't have it. But I think that's generally how the mind kind of, explains itself. It explains the deprioritization of sex, as you get further and further on in the relationship.
Yeah. So you can always find a reason.
You're right.
You can always find a reason why why it doesn't happen, and why these other things are more important, and why, I think that it's not a challenge often for us to be able to find a reason. But as we're talking about these rules, it's making me think about Atomic Habits, and about how he talks about like, you're only as good as your systems, right? And like,
that's a good book, by the way.
It is a good book.
Check that out, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
And that's why these like things like this 24 or 48 hour rule exists. That's why, we have sex on this day of the week, and we go on a date night on this day of the week. Those things exist because there are systems that like feed into the well-being and health of your relationship. And you may already have those systems early on in your relationship, but maybe they aren't as regimented. Maybe they, happen a little bit more loosely, or they happen a little bit more organically, because again, you have that bandwidth. But you're gonna have to have a system in order for you to want this thing to continue to work.
The spontaneity of the sex is going to probably decrease, because there are other spontaneities that's going to be in your life that's going to take precedent. It's not going to be a lot of spontaneous like afternoon delight when like your kid is going to bust out crying randomly in the night or during the day or what have you. So like, you gotta get in where you fit in. And I guess, we're not there yet. So I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. But I got to take the wisdom of the elders on this one, when they say like, hey, if you got to schedule the cheek clapping. You know what I'm saying? The important thing is that it happens, not how it happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Cheap cheeks.
Cheap cheeks?
Cheek
Dang,
clapping.
These cheeks ain't cheap, my boy.
I mean, they not. They are not. So more of the story is
only.
Clap cheeks responsibly, but clap cheeks consistently as much as you possibly can, and make sure y'all continue to keep that as a priority, as y'all continue to progress through the levels of your relationship and through your lives.
CCC, clap cheeks consistently.
Clap cheeks consistently. Triple C.
Tomorrow is
that
promise.
Is that the name of the episode?
Yeah. Tomorrow isn't promised. Clap cheeks today.
Clap cheeks. I misspelled it.
What?
Today.
Clap or cheeks?
I was going to spell out chicks for some reason. I don't know why. Clap cheeks today.
Clap cheeks today.
Tomorrow isn't promised. That's real. That's
Do
big
it
real.
Now.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask a question related to this, and I wanted to hear from you if you think that couples need to outline what their needs are, or maybe even their expectations around like sex or household chores, or roles that they want each other to play in the household, like down to a granular level. Like, this amount of times per week, I want this to happen. This amount of times per week, I would like for us to do these things together. Like, do you think that it has to get down to the finest detail?
I mean, on paper, it sounds like it would be of benefit to have it outlined on a granular level like that. Very, very specific. But I'm just thinking, like, in actual life and stuff like that, I'm not sure how that would play out in real life. So it's like, oh yeah, I need the kitchen. I need you to clean the kitchen, or I need you to clean the house 3 times a week. What happens when some shit, like you traveling, or something happens where like you can't get around to cleaning it 3 times a week? What if you only cleaned it twice, but it's still spick and span? Are you gonna still like beat yourself up because you ain't cleaned it that final 3rd time? So it's things like, so I think for some things, getting down to the granular level is probably necessary, and especially if it's breaking down more consistently. So if you find yourself, because of like how things are playing out in your life, that things aren't getting done, or it's not getting done as often as you would like, then I think that's when you need to start getting more and more granular and getting more and more specific. But I think it's just, we need to start with, what do we want to see done and get done, and what do we want that to look like, and how can we ensure that the thing gets done? Now, some things you got to get granular and say you need to have like a specific amount of times or something like that. For example, we were just talking about sex. Like, we want it, like, just saying we want to have sex is not enough. So like, we need to know, like, I think it's good to know if you want to have sex once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. I think those questions are necessary, and that's how you can kind of get grains. Like, hey, I want to have sex at least 2 times a day, every day. If you want to follow, Larsa Pippen, talking about something.
Is that what she said? She had sex 4 times.
She said she had sex 2 times a day, or was it 4 times a day? No, I think I hope she said 2 times a day, but I think she said 2 times a day, every day, through like every day, like no days off, which I'm like, impossible. Not just off of your vagina will be smoking and his dick will be smoking, but just off of the fact that like this man was NBA All-Star for a lot of those years, traveling and doing all that. Like, I'm pretty sure you weren't there every night, but that's besides the point. That's besides the point.
Smoking
from the friction.
Smoking.
I mean, was that not or the right? What is that? Is that an adverb? Is that a smoking? ING. It's a verb.
Adverb.
It's an adverb. Okay, adverb.
But babe, smoking is wild.
Why?
To think about the visual of
that,
steam
like the commercial. You know what I'm saying? When it's just hot, I just see the steam just coming off the schlong and then off the vagine. You just fanning it.
Not smoking.
Yeah, but he's smoking. Leave it smoking. Yeah. So there's like too long didn't read. There are some things that I think you do need to get granular on, and also it would depend on what is important to each of you. Some things that you not to get granular, but in general, I don't think that you have to get as granular with everything, because at that point it starts getting kind of chory. Everything starting to get kind of chory. It's like at that point it's like, man, do you just want to get shit done, or do you want to get it done in a specific way? And And if you need it done a specific way, that sounds like kind of a you problem. Like I need to clean the house every day, but it's clean every day. Like that's not how I get down. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I'm just laughing because as I'm hearing you say this, I'm like, I think that you bring up some good points around wanting to be clear about like a set metric, right? Like we want to do it this many times. How we get it done doesn't necessarily make a difference, but like we want to do it this many times, or we want to clean house. How often the house is clean doesn't necessarily matter as much as we want to clean house. And I think that I am much more like systems oriented. Let's have a routine. Let's have something that's like very structured. So I was just giggling when you were like, yeah, that sounds like a you problem if you want to clean every day. And I'm like, yeah, it probably is a me problem. Because if I felt that way, like if I set a standard that like we have to do this every day, I want to do it every day.
Yeah. So I think we've probably spoken on that before when whatever side has the higher expectation or the higher standard, then I personally think that they should be the one to take point on getting these things done. So to tie it back around to the sex part where we started off with, whoever has the higher desire is your responsibility to initiate more often, because obviously you're the one who have the need. Bing bang boom. Like you got to do that. You wanted to clean every day. You got to take point on that. You want to cook every day. You gonna have to take point on that. And I'm not saying that your partner won't be able to pick up some of the, do some of the cleaning as well, or do some of the cooking as well. But it's not going to be to the point that you want to have it, because that's how you live your life, and vice versa. So, and it would be inconsiderate to expect that from your partner, for them to like want not only, like, we can agree on the outcome, but you also got to agree on my methodology as well.
Mm-hmm. You're right. That is a lot to ask a person. I think for me, it would make sense to have a system in place for us to be able to check in about where we're going on these things. Because I agree with you. I think that it's helpful to just have a metric that gives some freedom in how it gets done and creates less regiment or restriction in getting it done. It's like, is it done? Yes or no? If it's done, then yes, then great. And it also allows for more room to have flexibility as things wax and wane over time, like you said. I think the thing that would make me feel the most comfortable outside of like having a set metric and the flexibility to just get it done is a system for checking in on how we're feeling about like its progress moving forward. Because I think that you need the space to be able to discuss when things do change, or how things change, or how you're feeling as a result of how things are currently performing. And I don't know that happens without having a check-in conversation, or like, this week looks like this for me. And instead of cooking on Sunday, I'm going to need to cook on Monday. I just want to let you know, how can we like plan for that? Or like, how can we make sure that we have stuff to eat? Because I'm not going to be able to do it this week. Something like that. Which
makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that would be the only thing that I would add as a supplement to what you're discussing. I could do the very granular, like, these are the 3 things that we need to get done, like to-do list. This is how it gets done. I could do that. I would be fine with that. But I have learned the value and the benefit of just having this thing needs to be done, and giving the flexibility to just be able to get it done, as opposed to putting the pressure on myself to like get it done in a specific way, in a specific time frame, like that kind of pressure.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot to put on yourself when you already got the pressures of life and everything, coming at you. And there's sometimes things that you can't, foresee or control about, your schedule or what have you, that might come and interfere. And then now, you think you're a piece of shit because of that, because some, your car didn't crank up, so you couldn't make it to the thing. And now I'm a piece of shit because my car didn't crank up. Like, no, that's not. We're not going to do that here. That being said, I will admit, especially, since becoming well acquainted with you, that there is a time and there is an extreme benefit to having routines and processes in place. Like they are very important. it's just when the process gets so minute, like step by step, that's where like I start like it's not useful for me anymore. Like, so if the overall goal, I'm just going to keep it simple. The overall goal is to, clean, is to keep the house clean. Then the process would be, okay, maybe on Sundays that's when we clean. On Sundays or Saturday or Sunday, that's when we do all the cleaning. We wash the clothes. And I said we make sure you cleaning the house, or you're paying to have somebody come through and make that happen. I think that can be the process like that, but the process can't be on Monday on Sunday at 8 a.m. We're going to like separate the clothes. Then we're going to like wash the dark clothes first, and then we're going to wash the white clothes last, and then after that we're going to move on to this part of the thing, and then we're going to move on to this part by this time. Nah. Clean the house. This and this needs to get done. We're going to do that on this day.
Mm-hmm. And that's enough. You're right. I've come over to your side.
I think we've come over to each other's side.
Yeah, we met in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're very structured, and I appreciate that.
Very.
Yeah. Okay, babes.
You ready to move?
Yeah. You get on this topic? Okay.
I had to turn them up real quick. I fall asleep.
That transition sound goes on for a little minute.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
I had to hit them all.
Hit them all. Okay. Okay, hold on a second.
Only on those C's if it's breeze.
Okay.
Yes.
Here comes this
Red
next one.
Ruby.
Lifelong partner. When you choose a lifelong partner, you choose an eating companion and influence your nutrition for about 20,000 meals. You choose how large parts of your free time look like and how relaxing about 100 vacations will be. Also, you'll hear over 18,000 times how somebody's day went, influencing your mental and physical state. Choosing your partner is the most critical health factor, and being precise with your decision shouldn't be controversial. Let me know your thoughts below. When you choose a lifelong partner,
That critical health factor part kind of slap.
Yo, my man's was spitting.
Yes. But
It's kinda
also, this reminds me of what I said earlier in the week about.
I promise you, if you say what I'm thinking.
It reminds me of what I said to Brandon earlier in the week about seeing couples that don't look like they're close to the same age.
Oh, okay.
Like the man looks youthful and vital, and the woman looks a little.
Oh yeah, you said some of
haggard.
that.
Like she looked like she'd been through some shit, and I'm like, it's him. He is the person putting her through some shit. Thinking about this, like,
you think so?
Thinking about hearing about his day that is probably horrible, having vacations or not being able to go on vacations that are relaxing because this person has to work the whole time, or like they're torn, they're back and forth between things. Thinking about maybe the health part isn't, that big of a concern because the couples that I'm thinking about do work out. But all those other things, that man running her into the ground.
That's an assumption, but sure, okay.
I'm just saying, based off of this, using what I got, using this most recent piece of evidence, that man running her into the ground. She could be running herself into the ground. She could also be like not managing her stress well. But I think,
genetics, but yeah,
or genetics. But I think in the experience of being in this relationship, like I'm only as stressed as I allow myself to get. But you also encourage me not to be stressed.
There
isn't a space where it's like, oh, she's stressed, she's gonna figure it out. You don't like leave me to my own devices to just like stew in my stuff.
No.
So
I care. And like your stress is going to become my stress. So let's tackle this.
Yeah. So again, another point to my case that this man is running this woman into the ground.
Yeesh.
Dang. And he probably still gonna die first and she's still gonna be stressed. Golly.
I guess.
I mean, isn't it true? Well, no, I guess that's not true. They do say that when men and women get married, that men end up living longer, but women end up dying sooner.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, we talked about this before.
I remember the part where like men's health, it generally improves just off the strength of like your woman will like get you to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll see something's hurting or something wrong with you, and you'll be like, I'm just gonna thug it out and walk in. Your woman or your wife or your girlfriend is gonna be like, nah, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. And you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go. And then you're like, hey, we caught it, and your life is saved.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do know, and I acknowledge, and that is a main benefit for a man to be in a relationship.
An established fact.
I believe so. And I didn't know the other stat about like women's life especially goes down.
Yeah, it's like life expectancy based around like, I think there were a couple of different tiers. It's like if you're a woman who is married or lives with a partner versus a woman who is married, lives with a partner, and is a parent versus a woman who is a parent and single versus just a single woman. Out of those like 4 different categories, I think it's the women who live with partners and the women who live with partners and are parents that have the worst health outcomes. Or like, not worst health outcomes, but their health outcomes are less than single women. Are you finding something to confirm that?
Yeah, well, it's definitely confirming the men's one, saying that there's a large gap in life expectancy at age 70 between singles and married individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Married men expect to live 2.5 years longer than single men, and married women expect to live 2.1 years longer than single women.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I was like, hey. Because I'm like, yo, if this is true, I would have heard about this through like the YouTube like gender wars that's been going back and forth. You feel me? So,
but I have to remember what I saw, but something was like the health benefits for women are not as exponential as the health benefits for men.
Oh, absolutely. I believe it.
And a part of that was in the clip that I saw, at least the scientists mentioned that it's because women have this like self-sacrifice tendency that will negatively impact them in a relationship with a man and in which they're a parent because they'll put everything in front of themselves. Okay. Go ahead.
And I mean, that makes a little bit of sense, but I think what you're thinking of is like a woman's life expectancy decreases when they're with a shitty partner. Like when they're in an unhealthy relationship, their life expectancy goes down because like all the stress and X, Y, and Z, but they're in like in a good, healthy relationship, everybody living good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go for it.
Mm-hmm.
That still don't disprove my original fact about these women looking haggard and these men looking youthful and vital. It's vibrant. Suspicious.
Vibrant. But it is. I was like, what's stressing them out? Like, why they not talking to their therapist? Why they not taking care of themselves? I mean, it sucks. I definitely, it sucks and is worrying, but like, why aren't you taking care of yourself? Get out.
That's not the solution either. If you aren't taking care of yourself, then that's a different issue. Then you need to work on your self-compassion, your ability to be able to nurture yourself, self-care, stuff like that. So I agree with you. That could be a part of it.
For sure.
But according to that,
but
your partner has a big
old
it's true. Influence on you. It was terrifying. What you eat, how you live, how you relax.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is.
Hearing him say it's using all those big numbers and stuff like that, I was like, hey, yo, because hearing him talk about like, oh, how you're gonna hear 18,000 times about how someone's day went and how that's going to influence like how you feel, and like the 100 vacation, at least 100 vacations and all this stuff like that. And what did you say, the 18,000 meals or something 20,000 meals that they're going to influence, which like depending on which way they want to go can like put you in the grave sooner. Yeah, all that stuff. But that made me think about how we generally don't think about the long-term ramifications of things, specifically prices of things. You're just like, oh yeah, it's only like $100 a month. Like this is a really good price. And it was like, you do know that's like $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
Like that's $1,200 out of whatever your tens of thousands of dollars of salary is. So it's like, it makes sense. And, it's like Orange Theory is only like, $180. You know what I'm saying? But that's like 2 racks.
Yeah.
Over a year. It's like, damn. That's why they sold it to us on a monthly price. They can't come out and be like, yo, this only costs you about, a little over 2 racks a year. You want to fuck with us? Like, I got to think a little harder about this one. Cause that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a percent. That's that's a percent. If you're lucky, it's probably like multi-percentage of like your yearly salary. Mm-hmm. Ooh. So I think this is the equivalent of like, we recognize that when you get in a relationship, like that's years of time that you have invested in yourself. But like, we don't really think about like how many meals, how many times have you asked Bae, hey, what we eating today, or that she decided, he or she decided what we gonna eat, what we gonna drink, where we gonna go, what we gonna do, what we talk about, how often we talk about it, like all of that shit add up, and it's like, hey, yo, when put out in terms like that. Hey, we need to move a little bit more correctly out here and be careful about who we be choosing. Like, just think about the person that you pick. They gonna have a heavy influence on the next 20,000 of your meals.
And is that influence going to be positive or negative?
Hey, that power that you're giving out willy-nilly, do they deserve influence over 20,000 of your next meals? I'll wait. Damn. That's real. You're worth it. You're worthy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But I wonder, though, how far that influence goes. Because a part of me is thinking, like, well, I don't know. I guess it goes pretty far. I'm talking myself out of it. When Brandon and I first started dating, I was pescatarian and I did not eat any land animals. And now I eat chicken. It started with chicken wings and it was like, ooh, I do like chicken wings. Those are good. And now I eat chicken breast.
Progressive overload.
Yeah. What's that?
It's like a working out term when you just start small and incrementally to increase like the amount of weight that you're able to lift. It's like start small. Yeah, she was pescatarian. She didn't eat no chicken, no red meat, which is cool. I don't really eat red meat like that, even though I have a steak every once in a while. So yeah, but now you out here eating that chicken.
And imagine if you were eating fast food often.
Yeah.
Like I guess it's like, what I'm thinking is it's not a battle of influence, but it is like whose influence is going to be more dominant and decide what is the norm for our family. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people don't listen to good advice. Like it isn't necessarily always the person with the most sound or sage advice.
People be hard-headed.
Yeah, like maybe it is just what that person like wants to do, or maybe you try it one time and it becomes your guilty pleasure or something like that. Or you can't dictate what they do when they're not around you, right? And like you find that this person has a habit that isn't necessarily a good habit for them. They want to eat McDonald's 3 times a week.
That's a red flag.
You're like,
That's a red flag.
I don't want to do that, and you can't do that when you're around me. Or like I would prefer that we didn't eat that way, but
or you're a smoker or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like a bad habit like that like you are in a space where either you could change that and have positive influence on them and get them to come more to healthy behavior, but you also run the risk of being influenced by them and taking on that bad behavior. You know what I'm saying?
Being somewhere in the middle means like you're going to be a little bit more like less healthy than you were, but on the flip side, the other person is probably going to be a little bit more healthy than they were before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if you can see that, like how soon you can see that take shape in a relationship.
I think it's directly proportionate to how much y'all care about each other in the time. Because like to your point about how you've come to become a mediator once again, I've also have come closer to your side. Like I went vegan for like a whole month.
We tried it for a month. You're right.
Yo, it was terrible, by the way. It was horrible.
It was a salty month.
Bro, like going vegan, oh my God. Headaches, and it was just low energy. It was, I don't know, maybe it was just like the impurities working their way out of my body, and I just needed to hold on a little bit longer until I break through to the other side, but we'll never know. But to that point, like I'm eating fish again. Like I used to not fuck with fish at all. I don't fuck with no fish. So my dieting has my diet has more variety in it now. Salad queen over here.
I do hook up with
salad. All the greens and veggies and stuff like that. I was eating vegetables before, but I was just keeping it straight broccoli. I was simple, chicken, broccoli, rice. Whole new world. So there's definitely some influence there. And it was pretty quick in a relationship for me. I was like, oh, I'm eating different already off top. I'm eating new things already. I'm considering eating fish. I'm considering like, oh yeah, let's try this vegan thing. Like, I guess we could try. We could try. Thank God it didn't work out. Oh my God.
Babe.
My heart wasn't in it. I was like, I'm gonna give it a fair shot. 'Cause at this point, but there is some good vegan food, like the Impossible
That's
Meat,
true.
and also and we found some good restaurants that got some slapping meat, like Slutty Vegan. Never.
Can't wait.
That should be good as hell. So I ain't gonna hold you. Like I'm like half a believer now. I'm half a believer, but like it can't be 100%. I can't do it, young. Not yet. The technology need to catch up.
Fair. That's fair. So it sounds like you believe that it does take place relatively quickly.
It can. I absolutely believe that it can.
Then how do you measure for if the changes that are happening are I don't know, like changes that you want to see happen? Or when should you like?
It depends on what changes you're looking to see happen, because while it can happen quickly, it's also I personally believe that it's also dependent on how dug in you are with the current habits that you have when it comes to like bringing someone closer to you. Like how dug in are they on? So like for the dieting aspect of it, how dug in would I, are they on eating McDonald's 3 times a week? Is that some shit that's like, hey,
I'm a die about this.
I am whatever is before pre-contemplation. That's where they're at about the shit. Like it's, I don't know. You may need a little bit more time, a little more work on that. But if they're like on something like I'm eating it because it's convenient, I'm aware that it's bad for me, and but just give me a better option, and that's how which is another point from the book. Just like make it more appealing, make it easy for someone to make a change, and they're more likely to do so. And especially if it's convenient and it looks appealing. So like if you just make it more convenient for me and what have you to do it, then I'm more willing to come over to your side quicker, faster, and with less kickback or pushback. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to measure kind of like what that out as well.
Okay. I guess I was thinking more system like, and like, okay, after being with a person for, I don't know, 5,000 meals, 1,000 meals, 100 meals, look at what those meals have been, what type of impact that has had on you. Like when I think one of the things that I was thinking about is like relationship weight, right? Like we talk about how people gain relationship weight. Absolutely. And where does that come from? Does that come from the habits that you all have established together? Like, is it just because you're eating out more and that's different from what your routine was before? Is it the things that you're eating? Is it the frequency at which you're eating? Because this person eats more than you, eats more frequently than you, or eats bigger meals than what you're used to eating. Like just, I guess, kind of raising your awareness to what things are happening in each of those areas, like the food area, the vacation area, even the like day-to-day interaction area, and like tracking those. It's almost the same way that you track habits, right? Like they have habit trackers where you like check off like what's going on to see, how it's making you feel, or if you were successful in that area. And I wonder if using a similar system to measure how the influence of a specific person being in your life, specifically your romantic partner, is helping, hurting, and different for you. Like, I think I would be concerned if nothing had changed. I would have a little bit of like worry if nothing had changed. That means that you don't have any influence on me and you just here.
I mean, that's one way to interpret it. Or you can interpret it like maybe y'all both had really good and also similar habits and stuff like that. So it was like a smooth transition. So like not much changed on that aspect. So I was doing this thing and you were doing this thing and it's very similar or perhaps even the same. And we got together and we continued doing that same thing together. So that could be one of the reason why it didn't change. But to your point, that'd be, I would say, perhaps unusual.
Yeah.
To have that time and like it has, you've not picked up any new like information,
new ways of thinking. Yeah. Maybe we're doing the same thing, but you do it in a different way. Right. Give me some sort of like insight, some new efficiency, something. I'm leaving here with something.
Around the way.
You're gonna have to bring something to the table.
Some sort of net add to what we got going on here. Now, yeah. So to your point, to answer your question about the relationship way, I think it's that initial stage where you're going on like all these dates, and every time you go on dates, food going to be involved, and it's going to throw off whatever your previous process was. So,
Yeah, recalibrate.
The recalibration aspect of it. Maybe you cooking, you cooking more for me, and I'm gonna eat it. And then I eat more than you. You probably won't finish your food, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna knock that off too. Clean the plate. Probably not necessary, but
probably
if so facto weight gain. So yeah, that's something that I guess we should probably learn to manage sooner within a relationship. But I think just that newness, that freshness, you're not trying to rock the boat. You're just trying to, keep the good times flowing. So you're just going with the flow. Every time you go on a date once or twice a week, you end up eating out, you know what I'm saying? Which is probably way more than what you were doing before. Mm-hmm. Your schedule, changed because when you really fuck with somebody, like you find yourself, changing your schedule to more aligned with them. So you not going to the gym at the same time, or perhaps not even at all, or as often as it used to be. And before you know it, bing bang boom. I think we have to be more cognizant and take a little bit more self accountability of like pursuing a relationship while also maintaining like your life, the things that you got going on. That's important to you, especially when it comes to like maintaining your health and stuff too. So, yeah,
I feel like that was your final food for thought.
Damn, the transition just be so smooth with it, but it is. I'm for the listeners. I was shaking my head for those like 3 to 4 seconds. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that is my final food for thought.
I love it. My final food for thought is get you some systems. Get you some systems that help you keep track of yourself to aid in that accountability, and get you some systems that help you keep track of the progress that you're making in your relationship. Mm-hmm. Whether that be a check-in conversation once a month or every other week, whether that be a like set of monthly goals that you guys set as a couple.
That's a good tip to give them, like the coming together maybe like once a month or quarter, however y'all want to do it, and just kind of coming together with some like individual goals and some couple goals.
Yeah. Post those up, be able to refer back to them.
See it every day.
Yeah. So you can have a conversation about it, see what progress you've been able to make towards your goal. I think we just need systems. It helps us not forget the things that are important to us. And so set up a system that helps keep you accountable and helps keep your partner accountable to whatever your shared goals or vision for. Mm-hmm. What you writing now?
Just making a note of this.
Oh.
Yeah. And then final food for thought, P.S. Remember, tomorrow isn't promised. Oh my gosh, clap cheeks today.
Oh, that's not going.
No. There we go. Yeah. Now, with that being said, we're gonna peace up out of here. We appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast. I'm Brandon. This is my beautiful, beautiful co-host, Ciandra. Mm-hmm. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye, y'all.